This is going to be another video in my Thriving in Spite of series, and as you can see from the title, Thriving in Spite of Having 2 under 2. That might sound kind of weird, but basically this video I'm going to be going over my experience with 2 under 2, in case you don't really know that term, having 2 babies under 2 years. And then I'm also going to give some like general tips. Let me see how many tips I have. I have 9. That's weird. Why did I do 9? Okay, well, I have 9 tips. And then I also wanted to answer a specific question that someone asked on one of my YouTube videos and the reason why I decided to film this video. And then I'll kind of just give some final thoughts at the end. If you're unfamiliar with this series, this is a series that I started, what now, 4 years ago? It's been a while, and it's kind of like my podcast style series where you could just kind of pop this on in the background because I'm just going to be talking and just kind of listen like a podcast. I like to talk about topics that are maybe a little bit more difficult to talk about, a little bit more sensitive, and I try and be as open as possible because these are kind of like the conversations I feel like people should be having more often and should be more comfortable having. I prefer to have these kind of conversations. I actually don't really love small talk, so I think actual deep conversations are nicer, and like, especially with people close to me, no topic is really off limits. So that's kind of how I treat these type of videos. I wanted to do a video Thriving in Spite of 2 under 2 because as much as I love my sweet babies, and I'm actually happy that I had them 20 months apart. If you're new to my channel, I have 2 babies. She will actually now be 3 in October, so in a little under 2 months. And then Lev, my son, he just turned 1 in June, so he'll be 14 months in what? I think like 5 days now. Yeah, in 6 days. So yes, they are 20 months apart. I am also a stay-at-home mom, so I think specifically if you are a stay-at-home parent, my experience will be, you'll probably be able to relate to my experience more. If you are pregnant and about to have your second under 2 years, maybe you'll look at this video and get some advice. The tips that I'm going to talk about specifically will be helpful if you are going to have 2 under 2, but I also think in general, if you're just about to have a baby or you have a baby, these tips will be helpful and you'll be able to relate to, but I really am going to be focusing on that 2 under 2 and things that were helpful for me. So just kind of as an overview, I feel like I've already been speaking a lot, but to hit on a few things with my experience. So I had Jude, and I always say this, I had Jude in the fall. I loved having a fall baby. I think it was great because by the time I was ready to go on walks, it was perfect temperature out, not too cold, not too hot. So I was going on walks constantly with Jude. It was great. Once winter rolls around, everyone's at home cozy anyway, not doing many things. Versus Lev, I had in the summer, and I definitely felt a little bit more like FOMO, which was a weird feeling for me because I'm a pretty introverted person anyway, and I like to stay home, and I'm not like out on the town all the time. But I feel like especially during the summer, I'm definitely out and about more often, as I think most people are. And so when you have a new little baby, and I personally don't like going to many places with a new baby, I just think it's a little sketchy, to be honest. And so when you have a new baby in the summer and you see everyone out and about, even like Corey and Jude would go to the pool and I would stay home with Lev, and just kind of like a little bit sad, which is weird because I've always heard people say like having a summer baby is the best. I think having a fall baby is the best. So the reason I went all into that is because I think having that like little bit of fear of missing out, obviously having my second baby made my postpartum experience not, I don't want to say like not as good, but I think a little bit harder. The transition from 1 to 2 kids versus 0 to 1 was definitely harder for me. I was alone with 2 kids a lot of the time because, as I said, I'm a stay-at-home mom, so Corey works. So when Lev was born, he was working the job that he's been working for the past however many years, I think almost 10 years. No, not 10 years, but for a while anyway. And then he actually ended up leaving that job because they kind of screwed him over. We don't have to talk about that, but they did. And so he ended up leaving that job. And so while he was transitioning to his new job, the one he's in now, he was actually off all of September. So like the last month that Lev was a newborn, and that was great. It was really nice to have him around. But then once he went back to work, and obviously everyone knows once you start a new job, you have to kind of be like on top of things, like they're expecting the most out of you. I will not lie, I had quite a few difficult days, and I'm gonna be honest with you in this video, it is difficult. Anyone, I think with 2 kids will tell you that, but anyone specifically with kids that are close together, those first 6, 7, 8 months are quite challenging, especially if you're primarily home alone with the babies. But in the same light, it was also some moments that were so fun and just so special. And I don't want to like scare you. I don't want you to be like, oh my gosh, what did I get into? Because I remember something that always like sticks in my mind is that when I was pregnant with Lev and went to like one of my last appointments, I was actually with Jude because I bring her to my appointments. I ran into a woman and she's like, oh yeah, I had 2 under 2. Like, I actually thought it was harder being pregnant. Once like you have the baby, it's hard, but it's not the same type of hard. And I agree, being pregnant, chasing after a toddler, especially being heavily pregnant and chasing after like a fresh toddler is it's a lot. It's a lot. And so once the baby's out of you, I felt like at least like I was able to like run and bend and just not like literally bending down and be like, oh my, and like you know, when you're pregnant, it's just like a lot. So once you get past that, it was definitely easier in some ways but harder in others. I would probably do it again. Corey says he's done having kids, and I go back and forth. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm done, and then sometimes I'm like, oh, I can definitely have 2 more, because if we have more, I want to do 2 instead of 1. And I think I would do it again. So if that's saying anything, hopefully that's helpful, that like I went through it and I'm willing to do it again. And then also once you get to that like about 9-10 month mark, once your younger baby can sit up, once your younger baby maybe starts crawling, it definitely gets easier. And I can even see now that Lev is over 1 and is just like really starting to play more and more, I can really see how beneficial sounds like weird, like I don't know, beneficial sounds weird, but kind of in a way I can see how like they are going to be playing more and more together, and that age gap, that 20 months is already small, but it's like closing more and more and more. I mean, think about it, when you see out and about like a 5 and a 6-year-old, you're like, oh, I don't know who's who, like who knows. Actually, even now when I'm walking around, I've been asked if they're twins quite a few times, and especially one time it happened when Lev was like 5 months old, and I was like, ma'am, first of all, Jude is very, very tall for her age. And so when she asked, I was like, you do see that they're very different sizes, right? But yes, as I get older, I can see that age gap closing. Also, if you notice anything off about me, I did get my first postpartum period yesterday, and today's like a heavier day. And no, it's not TMI, because majority of women get a period, and why do we feel weird talking about periods? I remember in like middle school, like you would always like hide your stuff. Even in high school, you like always hide it, like no one could see. But why are we weird about periods? And if you're a man and you're weird about periods, simply grow up. That's all I have to say. So let's move on to the tips. I feel like I've given enough of my experience, and I'll probably share more of my experience while giving the tips. And I have them written on my phone because I don't want to miss anything. But the first one is to try and be as positive as possible. And don't just close out this video and be like, oh, she's like annoying me. Because I really, really, really do think being positive helps, because if you go into it like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have the worst time ever, today is gonna be the most difficult day ever, it's probably, it's gonna be difficult, I won't lie to you, but it's going to feel that much more difficult because you've already gone into it with that mindset. And I feel like especially these days, and it's one of the reasons why on my channel, I feel like I try and highlight motherhood in quite a positive light, and that's not me being fake. One, I do really enjoy motherhood, and 2, I just feel like there's enough out there about people saying that how difficult and stuff in motherhood is, and that can be relatable in some sense. But I also, as someone that even enjoys motherhood, I've noticed that like if I see too many posts over and over and over and over and over again complaining about like the hard parts of being a parent, that day in particular will feel especially hard. Like I will be in a bad mood, I will be like annoyed, and I noticed that about myself. And so I'm giving that tip as the first tip, because I really do think your mindset will help. Just kind of accept, especially when your second is younger, that it's gonna be a hard day. So let's make the best out of it, you know? Like before Lev turned 7 months, there were like easy days. I don't think I even have easy days now. But yeah, like every day is going to be hard, but you can either like know it's going to be hard and just move forward and accept it, or you can know it's going to be hard and be annoyed the whole time, be upset the whole time, and then that's just going to make the hard day even more not fun, you know? The second tip, very, very different from the first one, is to buy a good carrier. I wanted to put this on one of the first few tips in case you close out of this video, because I think this is one of the big ones. I actually have a whole video going over like baby products I never bought, because I think in this day and age we really push a lot of products that are not helpful. Like I never use a baby swing. I would never use a baby swing. I just don't think it's necessary. As long as you have like something you can put your baby in for a second, I don't think you need any of these like fancy swings, and I don't think you need it. One thing I really, really do think is worth it is a carrier, especially if you're having 2 under 2, because you're chasing your toddler. If you have a toddler now before your new baby's here, you know how much you're running after them. When you have a second baby that can't move by themselves for a while, you can't just like, I mean, you could, but that seems not the nicest to just always have your baby just like away by itself, strapped into something, like not with you. So having a carrier is nice because like just while you're doing stuff, playing with your toddler, while you're cooking, you can actually even breastfeed with the carrier. That's what I would do. I'd put the carrier on me. Like if I'm playing with Jude, I can literally just pop up the boob and be doing stuff too. As far as carriers I recommend, I use with Jude the Wild Bird. That was all right. The Sling, especially when she was very baby, that was fine. Why am I not remembering the name of the other one? Let's see if I can find it. The Solid Baby. The Solid Baby I also use, and she was fine with that until when she was little. And then there's another brand that we found at Target. I don't remember the brand. I can ask Corey, because that was the carrier he actually liked, and he continued to use that with Lev. For me, all of those carriers were good when they were little, but once they got like above like 13, 14 pounds, it was just like a lot. I didn't want them on me for more than like 10, 15 minutes max, and then my back would start hurting. And you might say, oh, 14, 15 pounds, that's a ways away. We have very big babies. Jude was 10 pounds, 4 ounces. Lev was 10 pounds, 13 ounces, so basically 11 pounds. So they're reaching those marks a little earlier than most babies. And so once I had Lev, I was like, okay, I think it was like a month or 2 into when he was born, I was like, I need a better carrier, because I'm carrying him a lot more often in the carrier than I ever carried Jude, because I was just with Jude. I didn't really feel like the carrier was as useful. And so we did decide to invest in the Artie Pop, and I do not regret it. It was so nice. I could leave Lev on me for like an hour, no back pain at all. Also, if you're like, it's so expensive, it is. It's very expensive, but if you want to then sell it once you're done, or if you know you're gonna have more kids, you're gonna get your return on the investment. Every single baby product we have that was super expensive, I don't regret getting. The only one that comes to mind that I'm like, maybe I could have done without is the Elvie, but I still use it to, I think, how much I paid for it. But everything else, like we were just talking about, me and Corey the other day, because we have the Up a Baby stroller, which like a lot of people say, like, why do you need a $1,000 stroller? We both do not regret it at all. It is just like, it's so a lot, I don't know. We don't regret it. Buy a good carrier, it's gonna be helpful. Next tip I have is kind of going off of the first one, because I was talking about carriers. If your baby won't nap off of you, especially like if your baby just loves a contact nap, put them in the carrier, kind of walk around, swing around, you might get them to go to sleep. This was another reason that for me, going from 1 to 2 kids was a little bit harder than 0 to 1, because Jude was just, I did things to help Jude be a better sleeper, but I think even if I had not done anything, she just would have been a good sleeper. She just kind of naturally was that kind of temperament. I think a lot of babies are like that, and then a lot of babies are like Lev, where Lev has never really enjoyed sleeping on his own. Now his morning nap, he's completely fine, has been fine with that nap for a while, like in his crib, but even to this day he still takes 2 naps. He likely will wake up from his afternoon nap if he's in his crib by himself. He ends up in our bed at nighttime, probably like halfway through the night, majority of nights, because he just doesn't like to sleep on his own. And I did all the same things. So again, it's temperament. And one thing that I did, especially once after like Lev wasn't a newborn anymore, and you know when like babies are super newborn, they just kind of fall asleep anywhere, like they were fine. But once he wasn't like a super sleepy newborn anymore and Corey was at his new job, it would get very, very stressful when he wouldn't nap, and then it would be Jude girl's turn to nap, and then they're both cranky, and then I'm just like, I feel like I'm going crazy a little bit. I started just, if he wouldn't nap one of his naps and Jude was supposed to be awake, I would literally load them up in the car. That is kind of like a little bit of a feat by itself when you have 2 young babies, but I'd load them up in the car. I'd be like, you know what, I'm just gonna drive around. I'm gonna pick myself up a coffee. I would sometimes go to McDonald's and get Jude some fries, and we just drive around for like 30 to 60 minutes. Lev would fall asleep pretty quickly, like within 10 minutes or so. He would get his little nap. I would get some like relaxation time. Driving is, yes, relaxing when you are a mom of 2 young babies. And I would just kind of drive around and just be like, okay, this is my time to myself. If you don't want to spend money out, you could always just make a coffee at home and put it in a little to-go cup and drive around. Yes, driving takes up a little gas, but I think the money for gas is worth your sanity, because if you have 2 cranky babies, it's just going to be a little bit difficult. And yeah, that worked. I probably was doing that at least. The babies are upstairs with Corey, and I just heard something weird. I was probably doing that like 2 to 3 times a week when Lev was pretty young, because yeah, he just like wasn't sleeping very well, and that definitely helped keep me sane. So I wanted to share that tip. The next tip that I have is make your life as easy as possible, even if it's not like the most efficient or cost effective. An example of this is that if you have the funds to hire a cleaner and you want, keeping your house clean is important to you, do that for the first few months. If you can do grocery pickup instead of like running around the grocery store with both kids and just like tiny babies, and it's just a lot by yourself, do grocery pickup. To this day, we still majority do grocery pickup, even though I remember when I was pregnant with Lev and with Jude, like the grocery store was one of our activities on Monday. Once Lev came and it was just like both of them, and until you are going through it yourself, you do not understand the amount of effort it actually takes to get 2 babies under 2. Basically, I had a 1.5-year-old and a newborn. The amount of effort it takes to get them both in the car. I can't leave Jude by herself, so I have to carry her, or I have to carry her, and then you have the car seat with Lev, and then, okay, well, if I put Lev in the car, it's like, I don't want him in the car by himself too long, because that's sketchy. You never know what's gonna happen. So I'm running out with Jude. Jude's like, no, I want to put my shoes on. And it's just like, it is more effort than it sounds until you go through and you're like, okay, I get it. And so yeah, grocery pickup is a great thing, because I'm not doing that whole effort twice, and especially not in the parking lot with crazy people. No. Another like very, very practical tip, and I did this with Jude, but it's even more important with Lev, is that everything in our diaper bag stays in our diaper bag. By this, I mean, I am not, like, before we're going somewhere, packing up the diaper bag every single time. Like, yes, obviously I have to reload it sometimes because, like, I'm using the things in it. But, like, the toys in there, that stays in there. I always have wet wipes in there, that stays in there. Diapers, wipes, what else do I keep in the diaper bag? I don't know. Like, whatever is in the diaper bag, I'm not also using within the home. Like, I'm not taking, like, having a diaper cream in there that I'm also using in the house. Like, I just have one there, like a little changing mat. I just have one specifically for the diaper bag. And once you have 2 under 2, I really urge you to do this, because your mind is going to be scrambled. Your mind is already scrambled with just 1 child. Your mind is probably scrambled with 2 children, but especially having 2 such close in age, you're going to be going. So filling up the diaper bag with the right things is not going to be top of mind, and it's going to be annoying if you forget something. And kind of going along with that, something that I did, and we got a new car when Lev was November, so that's 6-5, when he was 5 months. we got a new car and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna set up a little diaper caddy for specifically the car with diapers, because at that time Jude was also in diapers. And that's another thing that's like kind of a lot, is when you have 2 babies in diapers, so you're changing a lot of diapers a day. So yes, I set up a diaper thing in the car with diaper sizes for both of them, a little changing mat, wipes, some toys, some books, and I was like, I'm just gonna leave this in the car. And that has come in handy a couple times, because we have ran out of diapers in the diaper bag, not noticing, and then used the diapers in the car. I actually once was dropping Jude and Lev off at my sister's for a couple hours and we completely forgot the diaper bag. I don't know how, but the fact that we had diapers in the car, perfect. Jude has now been potty trained, so we don't keep diapers in there for her, but especially when they're both in diapers, very, very useful. Tip 5, I think, is very, very important, and that is set aside one-on-one time with your eldest child. You have to remember that they were used to, especially if you're a stay-at-home parent, they were used to all of your attention 24/7, and then this new baby comes and they're like, who's that? And you know, the little bean that's like, who are you? And I'm the owner of this house. That's probably how they feel. Like, they're like, I literally, like, what is going on? Like, I had all your attention. And I think it becomes even more important when the younger baby starts actually like moving around and becoming more of a person, and the older baby's like, so they're here to stay, and they're moving and they're taking mama's time. Because when they're just kind of like a blob and just sitting there, I don't think it's like even the older baby even like recognizes that like they could potentially take up time. I guess it depends, because I've heard people say that their eldest does not like when they are breastfeeding their younger baby, because they feel like why are they even attached to you? I didn't have that with Jude, because when I was breastfeeding Lev, I would always just like play with her at the same time. So I don't even think she like noticed he was there when he was like a super little baby and I was breastfeeding him. Like, I would just breastfeed him on the floor and play with her, or like breastfeed him in the carrier and play with her. So she never got annoyed with that. But I guess if your child, your eldest, does, maybe it's more important for the one-on-one time when the baby's a newborn then, and like feeding around the clock. Tip number 6 is to try and get out as much as possible. So you don't go crazy, and I say that lightly, especially if you're extroverted. I, as I said, am introverted, so I'm like more comfortable staying home, but even as quite an introverted person, I will notice my mood is not doing the best if like some days, so like, even though we have 2 cars, I almost always tell Corey to just take our newer car to work, because especially now that the weather's nice, like I'll just go on a walk around the neighborhood with them. But when it was so hot outside, like too hot that we couldn't even like go on the balcony, there'd be days that I hadn't even stepped outside, and I was like, that's probably not good. Not good for me, not good for the babies. And so I try to like change that when I recognize that. I think you just like need to be interacting with actual adults on a regular basis. Like, you don't want to forget how to be a social regular person, and like kind of like keep up with just normal social interactions, because interacting with a toddler and a baby, or 2 toddlers or 2 babies, is very different than interacting with adults. And I do recognize that this, Corey just sent me a picture, this is harder if you don't have family or like a trusted friend nearby, like if you want to get out and about without your babies. But just kind of do what you can. Maybe go out with your babies. That's kind of why I specifically said like going somewhere with your babies, because I am someone that like, I actually don't leave them very often, and I don't leave them, I've not left them even a week with anyone apart from our family. We've left Jude sleeping once with a babysitter. It's just not something I'm super comfortable with, so I understand if you feel that way, then get out and about with your babies. You don't have to leave them with someone. Tip number 7 is a little bit more niche, but if your little baby will nap by themselves in their crib, and then like you're trying to put them down for a nap, but then you have your toddler, set them up somewhere that they're either contained or where you know they won't move and you can watch them. For me, Jude is a child, because she doesn't watch TV very often. When she does watch TV, she's not moving. Like, she is sitting there. If it's something she wants to watch, she is in the zone. And so what I would do, I would put her, you can kind of see here, I would put her, and actually you can only see the playroom, but I would put her in the living room. We have like an alarm camera set up there. So I'd sit her down on the couch, and I would just like flip up the alarm camera and just watch her the whole time while I'm putting Lev down. She would rarely move. Sometimes she would get up if she needed to go to the bathroom, and then that was not the best because usually Lev wasn't ready to put in his crib yet. I do nurse him to sleep, and then I'd have to like put him in the crib. He'd start crying and run down. But majority of the time that worked very well for us. The reason I include that tip is that Jude has like a little gym class, and a fair amount of the moms, they were like, oh my gosh, how do you put them down for naps? And that was what I did. That's what I figure out. That's what I figure out worked for us. So maybe it'll work for you too. Tip number 8 kind of goes along with breastfeeding. This is a little shorter one. I kind of already touched on it, but it's to read to your toddler or play with your toddler on the ground while you're feeding your baby. Yeah, I kind of already spoke about it, and I feel like this video is getting long, so I won't go too into depth, but there are ways, I think, to breastfeed and keep your toddler occupied, and most of those ways I think involves actually being on the floor with them while you're breastfeeding. And then the last tip is, and this is the joke that's always around, is to, if possible, wake up even at like 10, 20 minutes before your babies and get some quiet time to yourself. This, I think, is important to anyone that has a baby, especially if you're someone that enjoys your alone time. And I think even if you think you're someone that doesn't enjoy your alone time, as soon as you have kids, you're gonna be someone that enjoys their alone time. It is just, especially if you're a stay-at-home parent, your day is fully not about you. Your day is fully on someone else. And you might say, oh, well, if you work outside the home, like your day is on your work. Yes, but when you're working in an office or even working from home and you're not taking care of kids, you say, oh, I have to pee. Get up and pee. Oh, I'm hungry. You go and get a snack. When you are with kids and little kids that you can't like not keep your eye on 24/7, even peeing, you gotta time correctly. I'm in the bathroom here, I'm with Jude, I'm holding Lev. If I have to pee, not during when one of them's down, that's what's happening. If I'm hungry and I cannot hold off, they also need a snack. It's just like you are on all the time. So if you can get those few minutes, I would say like maybe even aim for 30 to 60 minutes. I know that's hard depending on what time your baby wakes up in the morning, and like if you're a night owl or early bird. I think it's really going to be beneficial for your mental health. And a lot of these tips are kind of just like for your mental health. Okay, let's wrap up this video because I think it's pushing over 30 minutes, and that's crazy. I guess it's supposed to be like a podcast. That's still a little crazy. I want to answer the question, like I said, that someone asked in one of my YouTube videos, and that was, what did I do if like they were both crying? How did I figure out who to help first? Your instincts are gonna kick in. I feel like that's probably not helpful, but yeah, your instincts are gonna kick in. You will be surprised how quickly you adjust to having 2 young babies. It might seem overwhelming when you're thinking about it, but when you're actually in it, yes, it'll be overwhelming, but you will adjust very quickly. I really believe you will. Also, a lot of the time you can probably figure out who needs your help very quickly. Like, is your toddler crying because they got hurt? Then you probably need to address them first. Is your baby crying because they just kind of want to be held for a second, but your toddler, yeah, let's say, okay, let's make a little scenario. Your toddler falls while running around the house and falls down, and like it actually falls and they're hurting, while you're holding your baby and you set your baby down. Your baby likes to be held, and so your baby's crying immediately because it's like, I want to be held, I want to be held. I would personally make sure your toddler's okay, and then get your baby and say, hey, I'm here, don't worry. Even while you're checking on your toddler, making sure they're okay, you can be at least telling your baby that you're there. Say, mama's here, mama will get you in a second. They might not be able to understand you, but even hearing your voice is going to be reassuring to them, rather than just like fully ignoring them. Let's do a situation where it's flipped. Your baby's hungry, so your baby's crying, so your baby says, I need food, I need food, I need food. Your toddler's crying because they're trying to figure out a little puzzle and they can't figure it out. I personally would help the newborn first, feed the baby, get the baby at least attached. If you breastfeed, if you need to make a bottle, get the bottle made, and address your baby first. And then while you're feeding your baby, holding your baby with one hand, I can breastfeed and hold with one hand. I guess you probably could bottle feed too with one hand. Then you say, okay, let me help you. Like, let's see. Oh, maybe this puzzle piece. It really is. It's hard for me to answer specifically. Like, I never was like, okay, I always will respond to G's crying first. She is up on the hierarchy. Or like, I always respond to Love's crying first. Love is up on the hierarchy. It was never like that. It's always like responding according to what they need and why they are upset. Okay, I've been chatting. It's getting later. And the babies need to eat, and I'm in the kitchen right now, and I'm sure Corey's ready to bring them down. Final thoughts are, you will get through this time. As I said in the beginning of the video, the first 6, 7, 8 months are going to be more challenging, but once you hit that point, it definitely, I feel like it's like the exponential curve. It's like hard, and then goes down, because the first, like, especially month, newborns don't really do much. It's like what's difficult, and I say in quotations because it's not actually difficult, but what's difficult about having a little baby is that it's just like feed, change, put down to sleep, feed, change, put down to sleep, feed, change, just over and over and over again. So that can get like a little bit much, but that's the easiest part. And then you go and it gets hard, and then it's like, oh, it's okay. So yes, you might feel a little bit overwhelmed at first and stressed and just like, what did I do? Why did I do this? What's going on? But there's also so many happy little special moments. As I said at the beginning of the video, I'm so happy that I had them 20 months apart. I would do it again. If I had 2 more kids, I would have them also be close in age. I might even squeeze it a little and do like 18 months if possible. My OB might get a little mad at me because the way these babies stretch out my uterus, they might say, calm down. But yeah, it's going to be so happy. Your life is going to have so much love, so much joy, and you have 2 blessings, 2 so special blessings. I'm so excited for you. I hope my videos are helpful. I have a bunch of videos on my channel just kind of like living my life with my babies. And I think those videos especially are just like kind of seeing what's to come for you, whether you haven't had your second baby yet, or like you've had your second baby but they're like a year younger than Lev, because Lev is almost 14 months. So I'm kind of like over that, way over the hump, like I said, and I'm going towards the, I guess that would be a bell curve then, but yeah, I'm going towards like the easier end, I think. Easier as far as like being overwhelmed by having 2 little babies. Now I'm just like, I have 2 toddlers, so I'm just running around all day. But yes, I'm gonna end this video here. Let me know if there's any other questions you have, if there's anything that I didn't touch on, or if I touched on and didn't make complete sense. I can hear someone coming down the stairs. Is that Jude Girly? Oh, it's Corey. I think it's all of them. Yes, sweet girl. Say it's everyone. Well, it's taking a long time. You're acting like we have like 500 stairs.
He's going around the house.
Oh. You going down the stairs. Oh, you got a cute outfit. You my so sweet boy? Yeah. Yeah. You want breakfast? You want bagel? Beagle. Alright. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to end the video here. I hope this video was helpful. Miss Girl, would you like to say hi? Oh, you said hi? You need to Miss Girl. Why'd you wear that hat? You welcome, say hi. You just stand here. Can you see? Hi. Mama loves you. Thank you so much for watching. Hope this video is helpful, and I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me. Bye. You say bye?